العلم أشراف مطلوب وطالبه لله أكرام من يمشي على قدمه. العلم نور مبين يستضيء به أهل السعادات والجهال في الظلم.
Say that again. لا, the 7 on the first day, on the 10th day, Yawm al-Hajj, on the 10th day, you do the last one, the very last one. But on the 11th and the 12th and the 13th, if you stay back, then you do all 3. So 7, 7, 7. The 7 on the 10th day and the 21 on the other, yes.
You see when you say for the Quran, the person changes their, or they do Umrah and Hajj, do you mean they change their intention from Umrah and Hajj?
Like they change their intention from tamattu to qiran.
So when they do the manasik of Hajj Tawaf and Sa'i, it's basically the intention of Hajj as well.
Hajj al-Umrah. Hajj al-Umrah. But lakin, they won't do...
So I mean, like if a person comes to do Umrah and then they realize that and they don't have time to do reach Arafah,
they go straight to Arafah, and they say that they include their Umrah and Hajj together as qiran. Yeah.
Going back to the fadl or thing that's bare minimum, the ghusl, was talking about.
Yeah.
Why is it not the witr? If witr has a minimum and the best and a amount is not specified.
It can be like in witr is not wajib in the first place. Therefore, you can't say the mujzi, the bare necessity that suffices, because even if a person leaves off witr, then he's not blameworthy. But yes, in terms of complete na'am, you can make it like that. But then you can say that for every single act of ibadah, for salah as well, dhuhr, isha, every salah you can say that for. But I specifically just mentioned ghusl because that terminology is mentioned for ghusl.
How is it Qiran if you don't do the Umrah?
لا, how is it qiran if you don't do the Umrah? Because qiran is Umrah and Hajj together. And tamattu is qiran, tamattu is Hajj and Umrah together. The only difference is that the tamattu, he comes to Mecca, does his Umrah, completes his Umrah, and he ends his ihram, and then he starts wearing normal clothes again. Then on the 8th day he does his ihram for the Hajj.
If the person has to change, does that mean he doesn't have enough time to finish the Umrah?
Naam, he doesn't have enough time to finish the Umrah. Because of that, he has changed his intention to qiran.
But in the Qiran, he hasn't done that because he's cut it off.
He hasn't done it, but he's going to do on the 10th day. He's got the intention. On the 10th day, he's going to do the tawaf. That's what it means by combining the two.
A few years back, I saw this on TV, right? That the borders of Arafah. So everyone has to be within the borders, right? Few people were out. What happens to those?
Why were they out?
Overcrowded.
طيب. Those of you that studied the Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya answer this. A person goes into Arafah and they can't find a place in Arafah. They end up being crowded outside. Or Mina. They start going into Mina, but because it's crowded, they are on the boundaries of Makkah, just outside Makkah. What's the ruling on that?
In dire situations or necessities.
It can be used, yeah, but that's a bit far off. but that can be. Ah, fool's question.
Actually, depend on the intention.
إنما عمل بالنيات طيب.
They had the intention to be in Mina or Arafah.
لا لا. طيب, it shows a lot of you revised ما شاء الله قواعد فقهية.
I was going to say المشقة تقدر التيسير.
It can be used, just like the other two brothers, that can be used. التابع تابع. There's a قاعدة called التابع تابع. مثلا الآن, you come to the masjid and the masjid is full. The masjid is full. What you're going to say, because I'm at the foyer or I'm at the front, then my salah is not counted as jama'ah? Huh? لا. لكن what do? You start your salah from there, and it's as if you're connected to the jama'ah in the masjid. صح? طيب. What about if a person comes, مثلا الآن, we see يعني يوم الجمعة, sometimes we see people praying outside, صح? Praying outside. Is their salah correct? Huh?
What's the had for that?
It is correct. Because now they're joining the jama'ah, and a tabi', whatever is followed on takes the same ruling. As long as it comes out onto the street, it takes the same ruling as if they're in the masjid. How about the opposite? If a person comes 2 hours before salah, and he stands in the street, says, today I'm going to pray here, and he starts his salah, and the masjid is half empty, is his salah correct? La. Same thing for the Hujjaj. If they get to Arafah and Arafah is empty, fadi, and they say, I'm going to stand on the hudud, I'm going to stand outside of Arafah, is their Hajj correct? La. Their Hajj is not correct. So if a person starts off the ibadah or tries to do the ibadah and it just so happens that they can't reach Arafah due to not finding space or so on, and they start standing near it, then a tabi' inshallah. So their Hajj is so. One second, you mentioned the salawats are shortened and not combined during Hajj. I think you mentioned the purpose are combined. Naam, this is a good question. You mentioned, and all of your questions are good, by the way. You mentioned the salawat are only shortened, not combined. The salawat in Mina are shortened, but they're not combined. So you pray dhuhr 2, asr 2, but in the time of dhuhr you pray dhuhr, in the time of asr you pray asr, but 2. Maghrib doesn't get shortened. Like in Isha, you pray at the time of Isha, but you pray 2 during Hajj. Then you also mentioned the Prophet ﷺ combined Maghrib and Isha in Muzdalifah. Is the prohibition of combining Salah only in Mina? Firstly, there isn't a prohibition of combining the Salah. Like in what's awla, the sunnah is to, in Mina, pray different, every Salah at its time, shortened. And the sunnah for Muzdalifah is that you pray Isha, Maghrib and Isha together, combined in Muzdalifah. So that's just the sunnah, the Messenger ﷺ, a different sunnah for Arafah, Mina and Muzdalifah. This is a good question. Can a woman's father's first cousin be her wali for marriage? So can a woman, her father called Ali, let's say her father's called Ali. He has a cousin called Ahmed. Can Ahmed be the wali for marriage for this daughter, for this woman? The answer is, with regards to the wali, there's an order that the scholars mention, the fuqaha, and they have some sort of difference in terms of the order that the wali is. So for example, the father is the wali. The first, there's wali al-qarib, wali al-ba'id, al-ab'ad. So there's the near wali and the wali which is slightly further. So the near wali, or the wali that is the immediate wali, is the father. If the father is present, no one else can marry the daughter off. Not the brother, even if there's 25 brothers. even if they're the age of 60, they can't marry their sister off, if her father is present. طيب. If the father's not there, then the grandfather, because the grandfather is in the place of the father. Then the brothers, or there's different orders, like, and then the brothers. Then the brothers. Some scholars say that a woman's child cannot be her mahram, her wali for marriage, like the Shafi'iyah. But the Hanabila, they say that the son takes precedence over the brother. طيب. If none of these are there, no father, no grandfather, no brother, no son, and no half brothers or anything like that, half brothers from the father's side, then her uncle from her father's side can be her wali. Then her uncle's side, her uncle from her father's side can be her wali, because he's the next of kin for her. He's from what they call the asaba. And we shall see inshallah when we're studying inheritance, that is what is called asaba. So the answer is yes, he can be her. If there's no one else, if the father's not there, the brother's not there, and so on. Like if the father's there, then no one can be the wali.
If a person does Hajj tamattu, does he have to do tawaf al-qudum twice?
If a person
Does Hajj tamattu, so he does Umrah, and he does tawaf al-qudum, and he ends it, and he does Hajj, does he have to do
Like,
tawaf al-qudum twice or just once?
you know the mutamatti' that does his umrah first, that in his haqq, for him, is not tawaf al-qudum. It is tawaf al-qudum in the sense that he's just come to Makkah and he's doing tawaf al-qudum. Like, in that for him is a pillar of umrah. So he's doing a pillar of umrah. The tawaf al-qudum applies to the one that's doing qiran or ifrad. طيب. If a sister lives in Jeddah, can she leave Makkah without doing tawaf ifada, then come back once her menses are over? Allahu A'lam. نعم طيب نعم. I always thought Hajj had to be completed in the month of Dhul Hijjah. However, you explained that it can be done in the months of Hajj. Are you referring to the minor Hajj, Umrah, or does this include the major Hajj? This is a very good question. And this shows that the person understood the lesson, mashallah. When I say Hajj in the months of Hajj, that only relates to, it doesn't mean that the day of Hajj, the times of Hajj changes. Like, Hajj will always be on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and the 13th if the person stays back in Mina. Hajj will always be these 5 or 6 days. However, what is meant by the months of Hajj is, if you remember, there are how many types of Hajj? 3 types of Hajj. So these 3 types of Hajj, you can start off the intention of Hajj during the months of Hajj, meaning Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, or Dhul Hijjah. It means you can start off these 3 with the intention of Hajj during these 3 months. Mathalan at-tamattu'. If a person leaves in Shawwal, or if a person leaves Dhul Qa'dah, leaves the UK, gets to Makkah 1 month before Hajj, they can do tamattu'. Their tamattu' is when they go to Makkah, they do Umrah, normal Umrah. Once they complete their Umrah, they take off their ihram and so on, and they put normal clothes back on. They stay in Makkah or Jeddah, Riyadh, wherever they Medina, within that locality, until the 8th day of Dhul Hijjah. Then their Hajj is called, they've done what is called tamattu'. So they've done Umrah and Hajj. So when I say the months of Hajj, it doesn't mean Hajj is done in other than the 8th of Dhul Hijjah up until the 13th. Like, it means that other types of Hajj, the 3 types of Hajj, can be started anytime within Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, And what? And al-Hijjah. Like, it doesn't mean that a person can say, I'm going to go perform Hajj in Ramadan, or I'm going to go perform Hajj Rabi' al-Awwal, Rabi' al-Thani, Jumad al-Ula, and so on. طيب. طيب. طيب, you mentioned the salawat. No, that's done. طيب, one more question because the sister's questions are done. One more question from the brothers.
Going back to the qaida tabi'. What's the hajj for that? If the person is outside Arafah and you say that he's tabi' of the people that are in Arafah, where does that stop? Because the person can just keep saying, I'm connected to the person who's connected.
لا فاتقوا الله ما استطعتم firstly, and also if يعني المشقة تجلب التيسير, also that can be used as a qaida to relate to that. So this person finds it difficult to get into Mecca, to get into Arafah. So مثلا they get to Arafah and they see that it's packed, it's full. They can't get into Arafah. So they stand near Arafah, 2 minutes, 3, 5, 7 minutes away from Arafah, near Arafah. They can see Arafah and they're connected to Arafah. But they're not within those boundaries. Why? Because they can't get in. That person is obviously included as if he is in Arafah. Lakin, can a person say, whilst he's in Mina or in Makkah, he can't say, Arafah is full, I can see you on TV, therefore I'm just going to stand over here. No, they can't say that. So as long as the person is near that location and they genuinely can't get in,
You have to try and find a place.
طبعا نعم, he has to try. فاتقوا الله ما استطعتم. He has to try getting in. The same goes for Mina. The Mina, the tent area where we said he has to spend the 10th, 11th, 12th. صح? If a person can't find the place in Mina, and they go to Aziziyah, which is right next to the Jamarat, then their Hajj is correct because they can't find the place in Mina. Sometimes, if a person doesn't perform Hajj with a Hamla, a group, they're not allowed into Mina, or they're not allowed into the tents. So if it happens that they can't find a place to stay in Mina, then the surrounding areas around Mina should be okay, inshallah. They're excused.
We know that doing Umrah in Hajj you get the same. Doing Umrah in Ramadan you get the same rule as doing Hajj with the Prophet. Would you say those rules are the same? Not obviously the compulsory Hajj, but your second or third Hajj that you just done, extra Hajj. Would you get this like which one is more like the Hajj that comes with it? Which one is more like doing Umrah in Ramadan?
Yeah, naam. Yeah. So you're saying, is it better to perform Umrah in Ramadan rather than your second or third Hajj?
What's more?
Performing Umrah second, performing Hajj, your second Hajj and your third Hajj, because your sins get forgiven.